I wanted to continue my botanical research, and to find inspiration, I started drawing different species from the carrot and parsley family of plants. The first species I tried to illustrate is commonly known as harbinger of spring. It is one of the earliest blooming wildflowers in eastern North America. This delicate member of the carrot family emerges at the very beginning of the growing season, often while snow still lingers on the ground. Its small stature and finely divided foliage might seem modest at first, but up close, its tiny white petals, contrasted by deep reddish purple anthers, create a beautiful and unexpected color combination that feels fresh and quietly expressive. For this study, I focused mostly on the flowers. There is a softness here, a kind of beauty that lends itself to more subtle and emotional design themes. The flower heads, though simple, are composed with a harmony that could translate well into delicate textile motifs, miniature pattern designs, or ornamental detailing in concept art, perhaps jewelry, ancient sigils, or elements in magical user interfaces. What I found especially inspiring was the flower's symbolic value. As one of the first plants to bloom after winter, harbinger of spring embodies themes of renewal, awakening, and quiet resilience. That kind of seasonal metaphor can be rich ground for narrative or environmental storytelling because visually it has white and dark elements in it. It is sometimes also called pepper and salt, and its crisp contrast of dark and light elements offer a palette that feels both restrained and refined, perfect for a character or setting design that aims to convey innocence, growth, or the beginning of a transformation. Then I worked on a few different species of Astrantia genus. This one is Astrantia bavarica, a species native to the alpine regions of Central Europe, and it is one of those flowers that invites a second glance. From a distance, it might appear subtle and understated, but up close, it reveals a highly intricate and decorative form. What makes this species stand out is its star-like floral arrangement, a cluster of tiny central florets, surrounded by petal-like bracts that are veined and finely pointed, giving the whole structure a layered, lace-like appearance. For this illustration, I focused exclusively on the flower head, as it's the most captivating but challenging part. Its radial symmetry and delicate yet defined texture make it feel almost like a living ornament. This quality lends itself beautifully to a range of design applications such as embroidery motifs, crown-like accessories, or visual references for royal or ceremonial aesthetics in world building. The flower has an air of refinement, suggesting elegance without extravagance. The contrast between its architectural precision and botanical softness is what makes Astrantia bavarica especially compelling. It looks as though it was carefully constructed, each vein, point, and petal-like bract positioned with intention. That sense of order and rhythm could inform layout compositions, decorative borders, or the design of organic-looking interfaces in fantasy or historical settings. In many ways, this flower feels like nature's own filigree, delicate, structured, and endlessly graceful. Studying and illustrating it reminded me of how floral design can embody both natural complexity and human-like craftsmanship, sparking ideas that bridge the organic with the ornamental. Then I started working on Astrantia maxima, commonly known as the largest masterwort. It truly lives up to its name. It is the most robust and commanding member of the Astrantia genus. Its flower heads are notably larger than those of its relatives, creating an immediate impression with their generous scale and soft romantic color palette, which is usually in shades of pale pink to deep rose. In my illustration, I try to capture the flower in a different perspective than the previous illustration to add variety to my page and also to emphasize its strong yet refined structure. Its broad layered bracts and densely packed florets offer rich inspiration for a range of visual design applications. It would lend itself beautifully to fantasy aesthetics, perhaps as a crest motif, a sacred symbol, or an ornamental detail on armor or gowns. What makes Astrantia maxima so intriguing is how it balances boldness with softness. Its scale gives it a visual authority, while the fine textures and pale coloring keep it gentle and approachable. This duality, like strength wrapped in elegance, can inspire designs that embody power without harshness. This flower is a beautiful reminder that larger forms don't need to be loud or aggressive, they can command space with grace. It's a plant that naturally teaches balance, something deeply valuable in both design and storytelling. And the last Astrantia I chose to illustrate is Astrantia major, also known as Great Masterwort. It is perhaps the most widely recognized of the Astrantia species. Native to Central and Eastern Europe, it has long been admired for its elegant floral form and ornamental charm. The flower consists of a tight cluster of tiny florets surrounded by paper bracts, often pale pink, white, or soft green, which radiate outwards in a perfect starburst. There is a structural delicacy to it, almost like a botanical snowflake, both precise and poetic in its symmetry. For this study, I tried to depict the flower head again from a top-down view on it. To get the petals right, I first created one of them and then duplicated it many times to get the geometric form right. Its fine details make it an excellent reference for decorative arts. The layered composition and the radial layout can easily inspire motifs in jewelry design, ornamental patterns, or architectural embellishments. There is something timeless about its form. It feels both antique and modern, wild yet refined. What I find especially compelling about Astrantia major is how it manages to be visually rich without overwhelming the eye. The flower's subtle palette and ordered structure evoke a sense of calm, making it perfect for design work that seeks to balance nature and elegance. It would feel at home in a delicate tapestry design or as the inspiration for fantasy flora in story-rich concept art. In a broader sense, Astrantia major speaks to themes of quiet strength and understated beauty, perfect for visual storytelling that values organic sophistication. I'm sure I will return to this study to use it as a design reference for future work. This plant is sometimes called leavenworthii eringo or purple eringo, is a striking flowering plant native to parts of the southern United States, especially Texas and Oklahoma. Although it resembles a thistle at first glance, it actually belongs to the Apiaceae family, the carrot and parsley family, making it a distant relative of carrot and parsley. What immediately caught my attention and what I chose to illustrate was the flower's bold architectural form and its vibrant magenta purple coloration, which almost seems unreal when seen in dry open landscapes. From a design perspective, it offers an incredible blend of natural geometry and edgy texture. Its spiky bracts radiate around the central flower head like botanical armor, creating a fierce, almost otherworldly silhouette. This could easily serve as inspiration for fantasy costume detailing, botanical jewelry, or even the surface design of fictional plant-based creatures or environments. The interplay between the jagged, thorn-like forms and the vibrant hues creates a sense of both delicacy and defense. It's a flower that feels alive with personality, sometimes that doesn't just sit passively in a landscape. In illustration, the contrast between hard and soft elements made it particularly fun to explore with line work and color variation. This is a plant that defies typical floral softness, and that's precisely what makes it so exciting. It proves that flowers can be bold, fierce, and incredibly sculptural, perfect for any visual design that aims to merge natural elegance with an edge. Next, I tried to illustrate Eryngium ovinum, commonly known as blue devil. It is a native Australian species that immediately stand out for its steely, cool-toned color palette and rigid starburst structure. Unlike more delicate or ornamental flowers, this plant projects an almost sculptural presence, low to the ground but striking in form. Its soft blue to silvery violet hues, paired with sharp radiating bracts, give it an icy ethereal quality, which made it especially interesting to interpret in illustration. What drew me to this species was its combination of symmetry and texture. The flower heads are tightly formed yet surrounded by jagged, lens-shaped bracts that seem to radiate outward like a protective halo. Visually, it feels like a fusion between organic life and crystalline structure. This balance of natural and geometric form is incredibly valuable for visual storytelling and concept design. It could inform motifs in armor design, magical plant ecosystems, or even minimalist logos that want to evoke elegance with an edge. Unlike lush or romantic flowers, it feels inherently defensive, almost as though it adapted to survive rather than seduce. That makes it a perfect reference for designing plant-based life forms or landscapes with resilience and strength at their core. In fantasy or sci-fi settings, it could inspire everything from alien vegetation to symbolic emblems of endurance. Working on this flower reminded me that beauty often lies in toughness, and that even a plant with spines and subdued color can carry a captivating modern kind of visual poetry. Then I started working on Eryngium campestre, commonly known as field eringo. It is a dryland species native to Europe and Western Asia, often found in open fields, roadsides, and meadows. It's not a flower that shouts for attention with bold colors. Instead, it draws you in with its intricate detail and subdued earthly elegance. Therefore, I chose to draw it, but didn't pay much attention to the coloring part. Its pale green to ivory bracts and slender spiny leaves give it a skeletal, almost ghostly presence, especially in sun-bleached environments. For this study, I focused only on the flower structure, which has a wiry, almost mechanical appearance. The design feels precise, almost engineered, with repeating radial symmetry and pointed forms that could easily translate into patterns for textile work, jewelry, or architectural motifs. Its bristly texture and dryland resilience also make it a strong candidate for inspiring concept art centered around desert biomes or survival-focused plant ecosystems. What stood out to me most about this plant is its understated power. It doesn't rely on color to make an impact. Instead, it captivates through shape and structure. There is a minimalism in its design that could lend itself beautifully to futuristic or post-apocalyptic world building. Imagine arid landscapes dotted with metallic armor-like vegetation. It also evokes themes of protection and persistence. Its spiny, low-to-the-ground habit suggests a plant that endures rather than thrives, which could symbolically influence the mood or aesthetic of a character, prop, or costume design. With these floral illustrations complete, this chapter of my botanical study comes to a close for now. Exploring the forms, textures, and symbolic possibilities of each species has been both creatively enriching and personally rewarding. But the world of plants is vast and full of surprises, and there are countless more species waiting to be observed, understood, and translated into visual inspiration. So while I say goodbye for the moment, I'm far from finished. I'll be back with more botanical explorations soon, new flowers, new textures, and new design ideas to share.